Hey everybody, this is Michael here with Max, and welcome to The Safe Zone. In this episode, we're taking a look at the Roanoke PD escape scenario from Contagion, which is another early access survival game with a much more linear focus than the Dead Linger, which we looked at last time. Say hello, Max.
Howdy.
So you probably noticed right off the bat that as I start out this scenario, I am holding this handy-dandy smartphone. And the cool thing about this in this game is that the smartphone represents a substitute for your traditional kind of quest log, in that it tells you what you need to do at moment to moment in this escape scenario. It's kind of a neat, immersive way to present that information, and definitely like a unique aspect of this particular game. But because the smartphone isn't going to be super useful for killing zombies, I'm actually going to stow that by hitting the B key and whip out this handy-dandy shiny pistol. And turn on this super cool flashlight and check out Max's character, which he has selected for this particular scenario.
I think this guy's name is Lewis, which...
Ironic.
Yes.
A little Left for Dead-y, perhaps?
Yeah, there's a bunch of little Easter eggs in this game, actually. It's pretty weird.
Yeah, so you actually get to pick from a bunch of different characters that don't seem to have any practical differences between them. They seem to be more aesthetic differences. Like my guy's this big burly guy with a t-shirt with a hamburger on it. I believe he's a diner owner. But basically the scenario for this is you're a bunch of random people, most of which are cops, who are in this Roanoke Police Department station when all hell breaks loose, and you have to find your way out without getting zombified.
Yes, which could be quite difficult at times.
Indeed. But I think that's enough setup. Let's get out there and shoot some things in the face.
Yes.
So as you can see here, we got some jack-o'-lanterns and candles and whatnot from the Halloween event, which happened in this game at the end of last month. Not sure how much longer this content's actually going to be in here, but it's kind of cool to see it still here and see that people have the opportunity to see it even if they weren't on board at Halloween. As you can see there, Max is demonstrating that this stuff is not in fact destructible. So even if I pop a round through that jack-o'-lantern's eye, you're not going to see any bullet decals or anything like that, which is kind of a strange thing in that this game has a kind of hit or miss approach to the way it handles environmental damage. You'll get things like glass and doors and a handful of other types of objects in the game that do take damage, but a lot of other things don't have it represented. And that might just be indicative of the game's early access status, but it's hard to say at this point since the game's still actually in development. Oh, look, a zombie. Perhaps I should shoot it. Perhaps I should actually hit it. That'd be good.
The zombie was juking.
He was. So one thing I really like about the zombies in this game is they're not runners for the most part. I mean, you do get the occasional runner, but for the most part they kind of lean more towards the shambling zombie variety, but they still have moves. You know, they've got a little swagger to them, not unlike the zombies in, say, Sniper Elite Nazi Zombie Army, where that little bit of extra juke or that little bit of extra sway that they put into their animation makes them a little bit more difficult to hit, which I think is a really good way to address the idea of making the zombie a more credible threat.
Yeah, like if you are shooting at a zombie in this game and you keep hitting them in the chest, it almost makes it harder to kill them. So, because you can't actually get a good headshot.
Right, like say if I shoot one in the chest while you're trying to line up a headshot, that's just going to make them waver in a way that's going to likely make you miss your shot. Did you find some more friends? And of
They
course by
found me.
friends I mean mortal enemies. Okay, so let's go check out this room over here. Oh, look, fire bad. But fortunately, we have this handy-dandy fire extinguisher right here on the wall, which I can swoop up. And I could use this thing as a melee weapon if I wanted to try to Oh, zombie behind you. Where did that guy come from? Or, I guess that's a lady zombie. Well, it's a dead zombie. It doesn't matter. Anyway, uh, okay, I think we're secure here. Everything's fine. We're all fine here. How are you? Okay, so
Terrified.
that's mission accomplished, game developer. So I'm going to use this handy dandy fire extinguisher to put out this fire. I love the implementation of practical items in the game. It's a really cool thing to be able to address a gameplay issue like that with an actual real-world item that makes sense. I definitely appreciate that a lot. But since the fire's out now, I'm going to drop that because I'll probably be able to get one later if I need it. Seems like we're getting some zombie migration from the other part of the level, maybe because we're making noise. They're probably attracted to it. Which actually that brings up a good point about this game, which is that there is really good 3D positional audio in it, so that you can always have a pretty good indication of where sounds are coming from if you have a good headset or speaker setup. I've noticed that this game, more so than a lot of others, represents audio positioning really well.
Yeah, you can definitely hear like sounds of even fire that we just put out. Like we could tell that it was like most likely right around this door.
Yeah, I know there was a bug in previous builds of the game where like you'd still hear the fire sound even after you'd put it out. I didn't notice if that was the case here, but there are definitely still some minor polish issues. This game, even still being early access, is way closer to what I'd consider polished and finished than say Deadlinger was that we looked at last time. But it is still definitely a work in progress. There are definitely some rough edges around that need to be addressed. But given the fact that it is early access, I think it's in a very playable, very refined state compared to a lot of other early access projects.
Yeah, and this would probably be as good as time as any to say that there's a lot of different places throughout this game, a lot of different like wings that you could check, and they're not necessarily going to get you closer to an objective, but you do most of the time find some extra loot.
Yeah, definitely. One of the kind of selling points of this game conceptually is the idea that these scenarios have random elements to them. So certain places might be barricaded, or certain doors might be locked, or certain items might be in different places each time you play, and that really contributes, to giving the game a more of a sense of replayability. Even us having played through this scenario several times, we don't necessarily know what to expect around each corner as we explore this area, even though we have a pretty good idea of the general layout of the level.
Yeah, they do a really good job of randomizing like major parts of the map to make it feel like a fresh experience every time.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely one of the strong points of this title. Another strong point, I think, is the performance of this default weapon. As default pistols go, I think it's pretty solid. It's got a decent level of accuracy. It's got a nice pop to the sound of it. I like the iron sight on it. Just as a really good, solid default weapon, I think, for a game of this type. There's definitely some good sound design in general in this game, like from the ambient sound effects of things that are happening just outside the scope of the level you're in, kind of bleeding through in the background, to the weapon noises, to the zombie sounds, to the environmental sounds as they're, say, breaking through this door. There's a lot of good audio work in this game, in my estimation so far.
Yeah, from a technical standpoint, this game is actually pretty up there, I'd have to say.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say of the titles that I've participated in early access for, this was definitely one of the more impressive ones in terms of implementation. So it's always in your best interest to come in here and check out all these rooms and make sure that you don't miss any loots or potential quest items. Like I said, because everything's randomized, you're never quite sure what you're going to find in these places. So even though it seems like that room may not serve a purpose, like in another playthrough, you might find an assault rifle or something really useful in there.
Yeah, there's usually this pair of keys that is pretty pinnacle to actually getting to pretty significant parts of this particular scenario. And sometimes they spawn in those rooms that you don't really think to check in.
Yeah, absolutely. I just found this one knife item that I wanted to point out. I never pick this thing up because I consider it a total troll weapon. Because if you have to get close enough to use this knife, you're probably going to be taking more damage than you're going to be dealing. So, pro tip, ignore the knife. But that also brings up a good point about inventory management in this game, that being that basically you can have 4 items at any given time. So you could have, say, the key ring, which is a quest item, a pistol, a rifle, and a melee weapon. Or if you're more of a gun nut, you may just want to have 4 different types of guns. It really just depends on what you're after in terms of your play style. And also if you're in a group, you may have the opportunity to focus what you're doing if other characters or other players are taking care of other aspects of the gameplay.
Yeah, I think these scenarios, at least this one, can support up to something like 6 to 8 players.
Yeah, I believe 8 is the cap for multiplayer, both in this escape mode and in the other multiplayer modes in the game, which is I think a fine amount of players, especially for a co-op scenario. Like I think more than 8, and it would just get completely chaotic and difficult to manage. Um, I personally really enjoy playing this scenario with just a couple of people because I feel like there's a tension that comes from being a little outnumbered and being in a scenario that's a little more risky that I really enjoy. You know, if you have 6 or 8 guys plowing through this, it's not nearly as much of a challenge, and there's not nearly as much of a sense of foreboding and threat as there is when you just have a few people.
Yeah, in this case, it's just the two of us, so it's a lot more stressful.
Yeah, we're definitely having to cover each other and make sure that we don't get snuck up on or anything like that. But yeah, see, the last time I was in this room, there was totally a submachine gun right here. But just to show, like, every time you play, it's going to be a little different. You can't quite count on things being where you expect them to be. And also, I should point out this coat rack here is very similar in appearance to the rack that we're looking for that holds the keys, which we need to progress through the level. So sometimes you'll get fooled into thinking you see the key rack when it's really just a stupid coat rack with nothing on it.
Troll rack.
Troll rack, yes, definitely. So let's go check out this guard room. This is usually a go-to spot for the keys to be in, especially if you've explored the other areas. Oh, and there they are. So this is what you're looking for as you progress through the scenario. You need these to basically trigger the next event in the game. And you'll see as I pick these up, the cell phone will ring, and that actually indicates the next objective. So basically we need to head over into the cell blocks and find a way out of here now that we are able to get access to them. I
I
don't know,
found an assault
Max.
rifle.
Oh, nice. I was going to say, I don't know, Max, if you want to grab that other key ring or if you just want me to be the designated key guy.
Where are the keys? Oh, okay, right
There,
here.
yeah, right there. Yeah.
Yeah, I should probably keep them just in case.
It's always, I feel like it's good for both of us to have them, and then if we need to make a decision at some point where somebody drops them, at least we know that one of us will still have them. Because you definitely, get to points in the level where having the keys is useful, because you might get past the point where you absolutely need them, but then there might be another bonus room with extra equipment or extra stuff in it that if you've thrown your keys away, you won't be able to get into. So it's always good for at least one person to hang on to the key ring throughout the level.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is the station we have to go to.
Yeah, it's either going to be this one or the other one, but I guess we'll find. Might as well check this one first since we're on this side and there might be loot in it. I'm not really seeing anything of particular interest in here. It must be the other side.
Oh wait, there's a button right here.
Oh, did I miss that? Here, let me see that before you hit it,
Yeah.
so I can show folks. So the game will always highlight things for you, so you know that there are things you should be interacting with, so you don't have to guess about it. I'm just going to go ahead and hit that so folks can see the difference. But yeah, once you activate that, then that will update your quest log and let you know what you need to do next. And look, we've made friends. Looks like those guys are coming in from that other side, so we might want to go and intercept them before they get too far in and start spreading out.
Yeah, that would not be a good thing.
I'm going to get my sprint on, which you can only sprint for so long, but it gives you enough, that you can get away from zombies or whatever you need to do. And it recharges fairly quickly, so it's not too bad. You can definitely use it when you need to. Oh look, zombies. Oops, sorry, buddy. You looked a little shady there. I felt like I needed to make sure you're all right. As you can see from that message, though, it is possible to damage your co-op player if you pump enough rounds into them. But a stray bullet on the default friendly fire setting isn't really going to do much, so you don't have to worry about being too careful, at least on this difficulty.
Yeah, higher difficulties might be different.
Yeah, I would say definitely as you get further in on the difficulty scale, you definitely have to worry more about friendly fire and whatnot. I'm going to let Max take point here just because then you guys can see more of the action than you would if I were in front. Also, I like to watch him get munched on.
Damn Zeds.
They are persistent little buggers. Left side's clean.
Nice.
Got some guys coming down the stairs here. So how do you want to roll this cell block? You want to just do the bottom floor first?
Or if you go on the top floor and check all the cells.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit concerned about getting stuck up on there on that catwalk alone, but if you're kind of ready to come back me up if I need it, then I'll head up here and see. I'll holler if things get sketchy.
Gotcha.
One thing I really like about this game is how it indicates the ammo count in the lower right. It's very clear and easy to read, so you always know, how many rounds you've got in your current clip or magazine. And I definitely appreciate that, just being able to glance down there real quickly and know whether or not I should be doing a reload. You notice that almost all loot items are highlighted red whenever you look at them, so it's real obvious when you come across something that you actually can pick up, which I also really appreciate. It kind of takes the guesswork out of it.
There's nothing down below.
Yeah, just checking these empty dark cells, which is something I probably wouldn't actually do in reality, but since this is a video game, I'm cool with it. Probably like throw a road flare in here or something ahead of time in reality just to make sure there was nothing in there. I'm just gonna step in here and check this place out. I know it's pitch black, but you know there might be a candy bar in here. Ah! Yeah, no, not happening in reality. You know, that's probably a separate discussion at some point, like the stuff you do in these kind of games that you would never ever do in reality and don't think twice about because it's a game.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things that is deceiving because you never know if there's going to be like a zombie to the left in one of those really dark rooms.
I've definitely walked into one of these rooms and like looked to the left and had a zombie jack me from behind. Like it's happened to me at least once or twice in this game. And I don't know if that's just clever programming on their part, like if they spawn the zombie in the direction you're not looking just to jump scare you or what. But it's very effective either way. Like whether whether I'm just really unlucky or they're that clever, it's very effective.